Hey everyone. I hope, hey guys, Charlene, Ludmila, Mary, Paula, Tammy, Sharjay, Martha, Mary, Warrior Survivor, Bernie, Susan, the whole gang is here. I'm so glad. I hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Oh, wow. Hi from Mexico. Good evening, Eli, Vicky. The more the merrier, guys. Become paid subscribers so you could chat, so you could continue, so we could have conversation because we have a lot to go over. Lourdes, how are you? Good evening. Good evening from Arizona. Salda. My daughter's going to Arizona actually this week. Michigan. Michigan. I used to live in Michigan for a couple of years. The Stratford Oak by 9 Mile Road. Bernice. Scotty, how are you? Good evening, Renee. So, guys, I want to first of all hope you guys are having enjoying your weekend. I know it's been the media cycle has been a little bit slow, we think, but for those of you that have been reading my Substack letters, if you read especially the one today, it was I named it basically a letter that I did not want to write, but something that I felt that we all need to read. It's been crazy. A few, I mean, every day's been crazy. I don't know what's crazier, because when it comes to our administration, when it comes to what's been going on in my life for the past, 7, 8 years since I got involved in Trump's administration, from the highs, the lows, the prison, the getting out of here, redemption, trying to, speak truth to power, all of this craziness going on, so, something this week hit me a little bit, a little harder, a little bit, stronger because something that I want to talk to you guys about that really bothered me is, so here we go. Okay. The past week, basically, I've been watching, I've been listening, I've been reading. And honestly, I'm not going to name any names, but a lot of you got people, a lot of you know, you've been watching, you read the same pundits, and you hear how they're out there talking about if Trump is a predator, if this is how much putting these women and girls on. I literally just want to throw up. I'm really tired of it. Really, really am, because what I've seen from these pundits, from the social media, from these influencers, these so-called insiders, some of them, some of these people had fathers, mothers. They go on camera, they type tweets, they smile into microphones. I mean, they go out there saying, well, we don't have all the facts about Donald Trump and Epstein. We need to see the smoking gun. We shouldn't jump to conclusion. This is the shit that I've been watching and I've been hearing, and it's been like really like wanting me to throw up. Because I'm saying, no, absolutely not, folks. And that's why I haven't been doing some lives with some people because I can't handle, I don't want to argue, but I want to say one thing, I'm saying to you, I want to stop right there for a second. And I want to seriously, seriously have a talk with you right now because this is not politics. This has nothing to do with politics. This has nothing to do with spin. This is basically, we're talking about truth. And the truth is, listen to me carefully. Donald Trump is a sexual predator. Donald Trump is a sexual predator. That is the unfiltered truth. I want to say that very loud and very clear. And as a father of 7, including 3 beautiful daughters, I just want to say Donald Trump, and I'm going to repeat it again, is a sexual predator. And folks, this is not speculation. This is not a theory. This is legal, documented fact. In 2023, a New York jury found Trump liable for sexually abusing E. Jean Carroll. He then even appealed it. He lost the appeal. The verdict was upheld. So let me be very clear to all the pundits and all of these, they want to go out there, get clicks and talk about it because, I can't even imagine, the shit that comes out of their mouth. Donald Trump is a convicted sexual abuser. And I really want to ask all these people defending him right now, because I know a lot of them are going to watch and they watch the show. What if it was your daughter or your sister? Or what if it was you or your son? I mean, just think about it. Today, we're going to do a little bit something different also, because we have a lot to talk about. I'm going to play because I'm not technically inclined. So I don't have all of to be able to give you the video and the stuff. I'm asking my son Aaron to help me how to do it. But I'm going to play some audio, because what I want you to do, I want you to hear with Donald Trump's own voice about some of the comments and some of them. And I'm going to warn you for out there, for those of you that don't want to hear this stuff. I understand if you don't want to listen, or if maybe you close your ears, or mute it for those seconds. But I think it's important. I really wanted today, for or you guys to hear Donald Trump and some of these victims and some of this, in their own words, some of the stuff you probably might have never heard before. For instance, Katie Johnson. That girl, that 13-year-old that sued him. I'm gonna let you hear something. It's a 20-minute uh, deposition of her that a lot of you might have never heard, hasn't been really reported or talked about. You're going to hear exactly how she talks about Donald Trump and Epstein and some of the stuff. So I want you right now, before we get into it, because we're going to get into a lot of stuff and some serious stuff, some that has Zeph published it. Great, Paul. Some of you might have heard it, some of you might have not heard it, but I think that, and Zev is great, but I think today is extremely important. We're going to go over some of the stuff that I want you to listen to. So definitely, please smack those hearts, not because of the subject we're talking about, because nothing lovely about it, but the algorithm, we want to make sure we get our voices heard, and that's the most important way to do it. Smashing the hearts, taking that a little square, but what's it called, arrow there, sending it to everybody out there. Make sure today is Sunday. Hopefully everybody right now is getting ready for the week. Hopefully they have some time. We want to get as many people on here, because I think today's message is extremely, extremely important, because we're not only going to talk Epstein, we're going to talk about, a lot of other stuff. But when it comes to Epstein, Trump, and some of the stuff, this is personal. To me, this is personal. And that's why I want to make sure that a lot of you guys, because you are my extension of my voice, and I truly believe, and I hope we're on the same page. But, this is a line that I draw. I could, agree, disagree with lots of things we could, but when it comes to kids, when it comes to, kids being trafficked, raped, when it comes to, women being hurt, raped, and all of this disgusting stuff, and boys, because sexual predators don't care one way or the other, to be able to see and hear what we happen, it really hurts me. So anyway, guys, hit those hearts, set the message. Let's get as many people on here as possible, and let's get, because right now I'm gonna let you hear from Donald Trump's own words. We're going to start off, remember the Access Hollywood tape? So the story of the Access Hollywood tape brings me back to it, because this is a time when I really went into Donald Trump's life. When he came out and that Access Hollywood tape was released with him and Billy Bush talking about when he said, when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything you want. Grab him by the female's private part, because I'm not even going to repeat the disgusting things he said. That was not locker room talk, folks. That was Donald Trump, who he was, not knowing that he's being caught on a hot mic moment. This was before he would, and I blame myself also, because at that moment, we all looked the other way for our own personal greed, because we still elected him president. I remember that fateful evening, because a week afterwards we had a dinner for him, where I had that dinner with me and Donald Trump, where we spent an hour talking about when his polls were down, where he had under 30 something percent, that he had no chance. This was October, right before the elections. He had no chance. and we were sitting there, and he was talking about looking outside. That I talk about it in my documentary how I got mesmerized, Trumpanized, Coltonized at that moment, and that moment changed history and changed the way my life and a lot of other people's lives for. But you know, when that came out, that should have been the first right there. I mean, just think about after something like that comes out, we still elected him the president of the United States. So I'm going to let a lot of people might have heard it. A lot of people might have not heard it. It's about a minute. For those of you that don't want to listen to the vulgar stuff, just mute it. But I think it's important today. We're going to go over Donald Trump and all this, and we're going to listen to him and his actual words of who he is, because a lot of people, are out there trying to talk about how we don't know if Donald Trump is on the list. We don't know if Donald Trump or did this, or we don't know or I've been with Donald Trump for so long and I've never seen Donald Trump do this, or I've never seen him do. Here's Donald Trump in his own words, folks. Okay, so this is the where he doesn't know he's being taped with him and Billy Bush right before the 2016 election.
You haven't built a pussy? Anyway. I moved on her, actually. She was down in Palm Beach. I moved on her, and I failed. I'll admit it. What? And I did try and fuck her. She was married. She was never there. I respect women, and I will do so much better for women. I moved on her very heavily. In fact, I took her out furniture shopping. She wanted to get some furniture. I said, I'll show you where there's some nice furniture. I moved on her like a bitch. I couldn't get there, and she was married. And all of a sudden, I see her. She's now got the big phony tits and everything. She's totally changed her look.
She's your girl's hot as shit. In the first.
Whoa. Whoa.
Yes, the Donald is good.
Yeah, that's it. With the gold. I go use some Tic Tacs just in case to start kissing her. I'm automatically attracted to beautiful. I just start kissing them. It's like a magnet. You just kiss. I don't even do it. And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything, whatever you want. Grab them by the pussy. Do anything.
Come on, shorty.
Oh, that's right, son.
Yeah.
Sickening. I mean, Billy Bush sitting there laughing, sickening. I mean, anybody that could defend him just after something like this is sickening. I mean, just think about all the things. I mean, there's just not one wrong thing. There's so many wrong things there. I mean, he's talking about basically if you're rich and if you're a star, you could do to women whatever you want. Grab them by their private parts, kiss them if you want to. He's also talking about doing it to a married woman. No conscience, no thinking. He's talking about she's a married woman and he's going to sleep with her. And he's going, Billy Bush, is rah, rah, rah. Yeah, he got fired over it. Yeah. But I mean, just think about what that was and what we were seeing transpire at that moment, what was happening. And somehow as Americans, we have a big fault because we still somehow, I still don't know. And I was a part of it. I was part of that cult. So I take all full blame along with a lot of other people that he got into office. But we're going to continue. Because then there's other things. Other things like, I'm sure you guys might have heard a lot of the stuff, the Howard Stern interviews. The Howard Stern interviews where he talks about walking into the Miss Teen USA locker room while undergrad girls were changing. Let's listen to that one. Because I try to put together as much tape for you guys to hear with your own words, Donald Trump talking about these things. Let's see, here we go. Oh, here we go. How they put the volume? Sorry, guys.
And she's a great doctor, and she made me talk.
Oh no, this one. Hold on, this is a different one. This is Ivanka. Hold on a second. Epstein. Hold on. There's so many of them here. Oh, here we go.
You know about sexual predators and things like that. I mean,
So this is okay. So this is one where he's where Howard Stern. Howard Stern is asking him if he knows about sexual predators, and Ivanka sitting right next to him. So this is Ivanka responding.
you know about sexual predators and things like that. I mean,
You are one.
all right, I was going to say that.
So Howard Stern saying, "You know about sexual predators." Ivanka says, "You are one."
You are one.
All right, I was going to say that.
That's in 2006. In 2006, Donald Trump and Ivanka there, and Ivanka calls him a sexual predator. Hold on a second. Where's the other one? Uh, Hold on, guys. Locker. I'm trying to get you the one where he talks about. Hold on a second. Bear with me for a second. Let me get the. Oh, here goes. All right, here we go. What happened?
Imagine it's your obligation to do that. So you have done that. I mean, some of these.
Okay, so this is Howard Stern talking about Trump walking in on because Trump had Miss Universe passing.
Foreign girls, Mr. Trump in my country, we say hello with the vagina. And what you could also say is the owner of the pageant, it's your obligation to do that. So you have done that. Well, I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show. Yes. And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that the dress. Is everyone okay? That's maybe they would not. But is everybody okay? And you see these incredible looking women, and so I sort of get a.
So there you go, Donald Trump in his own words again, talking about how he walks in and he basically it's his job to walk in and inspect these young girls because these are barely legal girls, they 18, 19, 20-year old 21-year-olds that are trying to become models and win a pageant, and Donald Trump walks in there to inspect them. This is the kind of piece of shit that we're talking about, and this is why I'm sorry when I couldn't even go on do any of these some of these interviews or lives with people this week, because hearing people make excuses or talking about how this Wall Street Journal letter is not a big thing. Let's keep, what do you mean it's not a big thing? Absolutely. I told you guys, and you're my family for the past weeks since July 4th, since this came out. We were the first ones on it, and I told you every day, keep the pedal to the metal. Don't let up on this Epstein stuff. Not only do we owe it to all of the victims, not only do we owe it to all the survivors, but we also this is our cracks in the door to be able to make sure till we get through it. So I just, it kills me. But he goes even further, because this is a man that doesn't even care and talks about his own daughter. He talks about dating Ivanka. He talks about if she wasn't his daughter, that he'd probably date her. Listen to this. I'm going to let you listen to this one. I mean, today you're going to hear everything in Donald Trump's own words. Here we go. Hold on a second. Let's start from the beginning. Okay, here we go. Let's try to make it louder. Okay.
Daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
So weird. Stop. You know, yeah. Say, say, we can this from song. Oh, we have Woody Allen.
A little bit more about you guys. So we play this game here. It's called Fave Five. I'll ask the question. Ivanka, you answer first, and then Dad, you answer also. Okay, Ivanka, what's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that. If Ivanka were my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
I mean, I really just think about the sick, perverted bastard. I mean, he's basically turned around. He says, if Ivanka wasn't my daughter, I'd be dating her. If that wasn't a bad enough, then on the Wendy Williams show, Wendy asked them again. She asked, Ivanka, what do you and your dad have in common? Ivanka says playing golf and real estate. Donald Trump says sex. He has sex in common with his daughter Ivanka. This is folks who's the president of the United States. This is who we've elected the president of the United States. Oh, and here's more. I have more interesting part. Hold on a second, but listen to this one. Here, this is more about some of Donald Trump's disgusting stuff.
But Donald, do you worry because you have a daughter who's a model?
I do, and I have to deal with her. She's just 17, and she's a great Ivanka, and she made me promise with words to her that I would never date a girl younger than her. So, why? She says, as she gets older, the field is getting more limited to zero. Yeah, I mean, the nerve of her. Now you can go with 16-year-olds.
Just think of what we just listened to, folks. I mean, isn't that admission of pedophilia? I mean, isn't that? I mean, he's talking about that has promised his daughter Ivanka, that is 17, that he's not going to go date girls younger than her. Howard Stern says, "Oh, Donald, you can't date 16-year-olds." He goes, "Yeah, can you believe that?" I mean, I mean, some people are gonna say, "Oh, yeah, he's on the Howard Stern show," but that's not funny. I mean, this is not a joke. This is a person talking about, his daughter. They're talking about, and the people around them that are laughing and making are sick, perverted to begin with. I'm sorry to say. I know Howard Stern said it has come out lately, and and afterward, and said all of this. He thinks Donald Trump is perverted and all of this himself, and and hopefully maybe he couldn't even imagine this shit coming out himself, but whatever. I'm just saying to you, this is some serious demented shit. And so when people come out there and talk about that, oh, well, you know what, Donald Trump, I've never seen him actually in a video of having sex with an underage girl. Stop it. I'm going to give you another one. I mean, this next one, I'm going to let you listen to. When I heard it, it really got to me. Really, what's it called? Because this is where this piece of shit. This is where he's talking about taking advantage of troubled kids. Troubled kids, folks. He's talking about. He makes a comment about a girl. She was a celebrity. Her name was Lindsay Lohan at the time. He talks about Lindsay Lohan, and those of you that don't know, Lindsay Lohan went through a lot of trouble: drugs, addiction, family problems. I mean, she was a child star, lots of stuff. Donald Trump made a comment about her, something to the fact that she probably is deeply troubled, and therefore she is great in bed. Who talks like that about a child? I mean, who talks about children like this? Because these are children. This is his own child. I mean, Lindsay Lohan at that time was probably, 17, 18, 19, 20. I mean, these are kids. Who talks about Lindsay? And I want you to listen to it, because I don't want you to take my word for it, because a lot of these pundits and all these people run around and talk about, oh, I want to see I need the black, I need to hear it, I need to see it, I need to, a smoking gun. So I decided to let you not only listen to, because I know you guys trust me. I know you know that I'm not coming here and I'm just gonna lie to you and make up some shit and just what's it called. You know, for those of you that follow me, you know that one of the things I pride myself is about the truth. But I went a step further and made sure that I'm gonna let you hear all of this shit that we're talking about from Donald Trump's own shitty ass voice, from Epstein's own voice, from people that were in all of this, how messed up this was, okay? Because it's getting even worser. It's getting even worser. So the next person I want to talk about is somebody that Donald Trump, that the media doesn't talk about very rarely. The media also killed her off. Tried to discredit her. Donald Trump doesn't talk to her, but her name, and I want all of you to remember, her name is Katie Johnson. That's right, Katie Johnson. And before we get into Katie Johnson, I want you to say something very important. Donald Trump, he sues everyone. He even currently sued the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion. He sued the Wall Street Journal for $10 billion because they put out a letter, which we're going to get into, which I truly believe that the Wall Street Journal is not going to settle with them. The Wall Street Journal, after in the condition that we are to publish that letter, they got a lot more. I'm hearing from my sources there's more that's going to come out. Trump is doing this is to trying to just shut him up, tie him up in the courts and threaten them with the DOJ and legal stuff. But I think with Rupert Murdoch and the Wall Street Journal, we're going to see some shit come out. And so you heard it here first, and I'm telling you from what my sources are telling me. So stay in line. But getting back to it, the one interesting part that Donald Trump has never done is he's never sued Katie Johnson. He never sued the young woman who said that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein raped her when she was 13 years old, folks. 13 years old. 13-year-old girl sued. I mean, we have the documents. For those of you that read my letter today I put it in the letter. It says here very simply, in the Central District Court of California, case number EDCV 16-0797, Katie Johnson versus Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. The plaintiff, Katie Johnson, alleges that the defendant, Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey E. Epstein, did willfully and with extreme malice violate her civil rights under 18 USC-2241 by sexually and physically abusing plaintiff Johnson by forcing her to engage in various perverted and depraved sex acts, by threatening physical harm to plaintiff Johnson and also her family. The plaintiff, Katie Johnson, alleges that the defendants, Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey E. Epstein, also did willfully and with extreme malice violate her civil rights under 42 USC 1985 by conspiring to deny plaintiff Johnson her civil rights by making her their sex slave. I'm sorry, folks, it's hard for me to even read this shit. The plaintiff, Katie Johnson, alleges she was subject to extreme sexual and physical abuse by the defendants Donald J. Trump and Jeffrey E. Epstein, including forcible rape, during a 4-month time span covering the months of June-September 1994, when plaintiff Johnson was still a minor of the age of 13 years old. The plaintiff, Katie Johnson, alleges she was enticed by promises of money and a modeling career to attend a series of underage sex parties held at the New York City residence of defendant Jeffrey E. Epstein and attended by defendant John Donald J. Trump. Sex parties, 13-year-old. On the first occasion involving defendant John Donald J. Trump, the plaintiff Katie Johnson was forced to manually stimulate defendant Trump with the use of her hand upon defendant Trump's erect penis until he reached sexual orgasm. I'm going to stop right there because I really don't even want to repeat some of this shit. But what I'm going to do, I have something special for you guys. Let me just go because my battery's dying. Bear with me. I'm going to go get the extension cord because I have for you that I'm going to let you listen to. It's a full. Where is it? Hold on a second. Hold on a second. So I have the full Katie Johnson deposition for you to hear in her own voice. Just bear with me for a second. I have to go get her.
Give you.
Okay, guys, hang in there. In the meantime, I'm going to go get extension cord. We're going to be here for a little bit because this is important. So get your coffee, get a drink, roll a joint, whatever you have to do to get through this tonight because this is some serious conversation. You're about to listen to Katie Johnson in her own voice as she deposition. If those of you that heard it, uh, I'm sorry, maybe you don't want to listen to it again. For those of you that can't listen to some of the stuff because it's going to be graphic, it's very graphic. I'm giving you a heads up. Maybe you should stop for a second. It's about 29 minutes. So for the next 30 minutes, we are going to be listening to the deposition of Katie Johnson against Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein that has been buried, that has been discredited. She's been threatened. And this is more of the stuff why we're seeing it close up. So just bear with me, guys. I just got to get the extension cord. I'll be right back so we can listen. In the meantime, smash those hearts. I'm sorry, smash those hearts. Spread the message. Call your friends. Get as many people on here as possible. For those of you that haven't subscribed yet, start subscribing. For those of you that are subscribing, I love you guys. Thank you for all of it because we have a lot to go over today. But everybody, in the meantime, do your job. Smash the hearts and get some more people on here. All right, guys. So this is Katie Johnson in her press. What's it called? Deposition. So those of you, this is some very graphic stuff. So here we go.
My free will. No, there was nothing promised to me for doing this interview.
Excellent.
Yes, everything that I say at this interview will be the truth. I met Donald Trump at some parties I attend that I was working for Mr. Jeffrey Epstein. There's about 3 or 4 times that I had encounters with Donald Trump. I was 13. The first time that I met Donald Trump was at a party at Jeffrey Epstein's mansion. There was an orgy going on, and he was kind of watching off in the distance. And he basically asked if I could come over and give him a hand job. And at first, I wasn't very comfortable with it. This was like my first first party, and I didn't, I didn't think that was my responsibility. But my recruiter told me that I needed to do it, so I agreed to. And then he, began to. Sorry, this is a little difficult, but before I gave him a hand job, he kind of slapped my hand away and said, "You need to use a glove." And the recruiter ran over and handed me a glove and said, "No one touches Mr. Trump's penis without a glove." So I needed to use a glove. I gave him a hand job, and then immediately after, he had an orgasm, he left, and I didn't see him again at that part. Jeffrey Epstein is a billionaire friend of Donald Trump's that was responsible for throwing the sex parties. I originally came to New York trying to be a model, and in my travels, I met a girl named Tiffany there who was very interested in me and said that, that's what she did, is that she helped girls, get what they wanted. And she could help me get into modeling, that she knew a lot of people that were higher ups, and that it would be no problem. And so that's why, I would just basically have to come model at a couple of events and meet some people. There'd be no sweat. So, of course I went, it sounded like no big deal. And she was recruiting the girls to come to these parties. And they all looked, most of them were, my age. There was, maybe a couple girls that were maybe 14 or 15, but it seemed to me like we were all very young. So, Jeffrey Epstein knew that I was 13 years old. When he interviewed me, he asked me to get down to my bra, just my panties, and I thought that was weird. But modeling, maybe it was something about my figure. And he asked that I give him a massage. So then he asked me my age. He asked me, and I told him, I told him that I was 13. I told him why I was there. And he basically said, "Well, you'll do. I'm sure that you'll fit pretty nicely here." And then he tried to basically slip himself inside of me, and I pushed him away, and I said, I'm because at that point in time, I still believed that there was models, and then there was the girls that did that. Like, I thought there was a separation. So, I told him that I wasn't interested in that, but he said that I would do. And as far as Donald Trump, he knew that I was 13, and I believe that Tiffany told him. He seemed to take a liking to me because I was so young, and I was also a virgin. So I don't know. It seemed like he wasn't really into having girls that were liked by the other guys. He kind of, the whole glove. He kind of liked things to be his first. That, for lack of a better term, but he was the one who wanted to get to a girl before everyone else did. Donald Trump knew that I was 13 because the first night that I was there, Tiffany actually suggested that she had a whole bunch of different wigs, and I expressed interest in them. I always told her that I would love to walk around with blue hair, and so I tried some on, and there was a blonde wig that she said that looked great on me, so I wore that wig, and Donald Trump had specifically asked about me because I remind him of his daughter, and she said, "Well, she's 13 as well." So he knew the first time that he saw me, but he took a liking to me because I looked like his daughter. The reason I'm coming out now is when it happened originally, I just wanted to forget about the whole incident. And when I saw that he was running for president, I felt that it was my responsibility to come out and tell our country what kind of man this person is. I don't think that he should even be the dog catcher, let alone running the greatest country in the world. After I met Tiffany at the bus station, she took me to basically went to her house, her apartment, and got ready. I put on a blonde wig because it seemed fun to pretend to be someone different. But we went to the party that I was basically interviewing for, and Jeffrey Epstein was the one that was running the party. He had a quick meeting with everyone that was employed there, and then he had a private interview with me. The first time that I met Jeffrey Epstein, he did try to force himself inside of me without getting the go-ahead or anything. And then it was probably about the third or fourth party is when he basically forced it was another massage, and it was basically like it wasn't sex, but there was penetration, and I told him that I didn't want that, but he kind of got a little irritated. So I don't know. There was something about him that I guess I kind of held him I held a lot of resentment towards him. By that time that happened, I kind of already started catching on that maybe I wasn't there for modeling, and maybe I was just getting used for things, and I felt that kind of held him responsible. I did receive money to go to these parties. After every party, I was paid by Mr. Epstein. There wasn't, out of all the girls that were there with me, most of them were 13, 14. I think the oldest one might have been 16, just turned 16. I mean, she'd been there for a while. It was Tiffany. He liked to watch other people have sex. I mean, he's a germ, doesn't like germs. So rather than partaking, he just watches. So, and Tiffany had informed him that I was the virgin. And so I was basically, so it was Tiffany who introduced us. Second time that I saw Mr. Trump was same scenario. He was onlooking at an orgy, and Tiffany came over to me and said that Donald Trump had requested that I perform oral sex on him, and I'd never done something like that with anybody, so I was a little nervous. So I walked up to him and he was sitting there very proud, and I just kind of moved in that direction, and he kind of slapped me away and said, "What are you doing? And you need to put a condom on." Like I was some dirty filter or something without a condom. Tiffany ran over and handed him gave me a condom and apologized, profusely, and said that would never happen again. And she looked at me and scolded me basically like a child and said that, that's not how, Donald Trump always, anytime he touches penis, it needs to have a condom on or a glove, especially when it comes to performing oral sex. So, I apologized, and then I performed oral sex on him. And once he was done, he hopped up, and that's the last I saw of him at that party. It's like once he's done, he's out. So sometimes some of the things that I noticed that were weird with him was sometimes before the parties he would come over, and him, Jeffrey Epstein and himself would kind of banter back and forth, and he was Donald Trump was very racist. He said a lot of racist things. Like there was a lot of comments towards Mr. Epstein about being Jewish, and called him a Jew bastard. So that he was cheap, and there was some words I didn't even understand. Something about his the shape of his penis being directly related to his mole, or I'm not too familiar with the Jewish tradition. So, but I'm pretty sure that whatever he was saying wasn't very nice. Also referred to people of Hispanic or Hispanic name, they called them spics. Was around the first time that the World Trade Center had gotten the bomb in the 90s. And he was, talking about the towel heads and how, we would just be better off if we, didn't let him in, or, basically got rid of every single one that was already here. And I felt it made me really uncomfortable, really, really uncomfortable. He also loved to call Black people, niggers, and Arabic people he called sand niggers. The only time that he tried to give me some money was our last encounter together, where he acted out a rape fantasy. I was forced to give that money back because Jeffrey Epstein paid us after the party. So, but he just gave me the money. I don't even know why he gave it to me. Maybe to make me feel more cheap, but it was a pretty. It was a rape fantasy to him, but I wasn't playing. So there was those two times, and then there was after the next thing that Tiffany approached me with was that he had a fantasy where he walked in on his maids basically making out, and that it was some type of fantasy for him. So she asked, I was at that point, I was like, I don't want to be involved with anything that has to do with him. But she's like, you were just basically the other one. So there's nothing that you ought to do. Just tell, he's requested you to be involved. So I reluctantly, I felt like I didn't have a choice there, but it was basically he's walking in, his two maids. I was one of the maids. I was the white maid. And there was a Spanish girl, Maria, who was the Hispanic maid. And we were making out, and he walks in and he gets really angry and threatens to call immigration on Maria if she doesn't come over and make things right and give him a blowjob. So while she is over there giving him a blowjob, I am just trying to, I'm supposed to look scared, like, oh no, and cleaning up things and pretending like I'm trying to go back to my job as a maid. And then he's being so rude to Maria. I felt so bad for her. Even though I guess it didn't seem like a fantasy. It didn't seem like it was the weirdest fantasy as far as that. He was threatening to call immigration on her. So that she didn't know how to, she wasn't even near going down to give him, perform oral sex on him before he slapped her away and said, what are you doing? You need to put a condom on. And she's trying to, I'm so sorry. And he's like, you can't even understand what you're saying. And just, speak English, he called her derogatory comments. And then he's like, you know what? You don't know what you're doing. Have her come over and show you how it's done. And so I said that I didn't, I had to go over there or else he was going to call immigration over it. I didn't know if it was true or not, but I felt that, he said that if I didn't show her how to perform oral sex on him, then he was going to call immigration on her and then get rid of us both. It was anything that was in relation to him getting off or being satisfied or happy had to do with him being in power, but extreme power. And it's very hard to even, it was always intimidating when he was like that. It was always, you didn't really know if it was true or, like if you refused to play along, would he really call immigration on Maria? Would he really get rid of us both? And I didn't even want to know what that meant. I always didn't, it wasn't a game. It just felt like it wasn't a game. The one night that I had the blonde wig on, he mentioned that I looked like, I looked like his, that I reminded him of his daughter. And actually the maid fantasy, I didn't have a blonde wig on. I was trying to stay away from blonde wigs since the time. But he actually told Tiffany that that's what he wanted me to wear. Like he wanted it. And anytime I put it on, anytime I had it on and he'd see me, he would say, "Oh man, you look," and it wasn't like "Oh, you remind me of my daughter." It was this sick, evil, like, you remind me of my daughter. It was just this weird pleasure, sick smile. Like I don't even want to know what he was thinking about. I could imagine what he was thinking about. After the parties would end, we were to report to Mr. Epstein and basically tell him everything that happened, with who, what they liked, what they disliked, if there was any requests, if there was any talk about anything. That's what we told Mr. Epstein everything. And then he paid us, and then we got to go home. And most with me, I would either, I normally got taken to the airport, so to go back home. The fact that Trump has a chance to be the next president makes me feel disgusting inside. I've always been proud to be an American. I think we live in a beautiful country, but I just see him ruining everything. He's what he portrays on the outside isn't even that great, but people don't even know the half of how evil, how sick and twisted that man is. I have a friend that's been my friend ever since the school year that I stopped going, the 8th grade. I confided her and she knows all about it. She knows everything. I mean, I destroyed everything, any claims I couldn't risk my dad finding out. And now I think I'm old enough to where I don't think, at that point, I didn't want to not be his little girl. I didn't want to lose my dad. Basically, I would never, as far as keeping proof of any of the trips, the only person I never told my parents, there would be no there would be no good outcome of telling my parents. They would have grounded me. I would have never been allowed out of the house. My father would have come unglued. I did tell a friend, she's still my best friend to this day. She knows everything. She knows it all. I'm prepared to do whatever it takes to save the country that I believe that we have. I know what he does behind closed doors. Like if that's all, I'm willing to sacrifice my life to put our country back in the right, like going maybe in some type of positive direction. Not even there's no right or wrong, but a positive direction. This guy's not going to take us anywhere positive. Yeah, as far as my life changing by coming out with this information, I've thought long and hard about whether or not I should, and I've gone back and forth. But I think that I can't. I think that the American people need to know what kind of man this person is. And if my life changes because of that, then so be it. But the American people need to know what they're dealing with. If I had the chance to talk to Donald Trump, I would run the other way. I'm scared of him like I've never been scared of anything else in my entire life. I can't explain it to you, but the fear of him even being in the next room I have a panic. I have a panic attack. The last encounter that I had with Donald Trump, Tiffany approached me about a rape scene that was supposed to be played out, and I didn't like the sound of that at all. But Tiffany promised, assured me that it wasn't going to be if it was anything I wasn't comfortable with, we could stop. That she would be right there, and that it wouldn't get out of hand, and that it was a fantasy, like it wasn't really going to happen. And so I told her that I would. She basically, I mean, Tiffany was always nice to me. She wasn't that I trusted her. Also, and I wouldn't always trusted her, done what she asked me to, but she was there, and he came in, and I was basically tied to a bed with pantyhose. And he tied him, and they were so tight, it hurt to even like lay there. And I tried to say something. It was like, he's just, shut up, shut up, bitch. This is basically like he was being really, really rough. And I understand, it just didn't seem like a fantasy. And I started to get scared, and he was, basically like ripping my clothes off, and I was actually I got freaked out. I told him that I didn't want to do this. I screamed over for Tiffany, and she was like, "Mr. Trump," and she's only, this is scaring her. And he's like, "Oh, you shut up too." He just turned into this animal. It was like a completely different person. It was like everyone in the room was scared. And I was, it was like uh, I couldn't do anything about it. And he ripped off all my clothes, and he started to basically have sex with me, and I was screaming because I'd never had sex before. It was my first time, and Tiffany was yelling at him too. She was saying I was a virgin, and he told us to just shut the fuck up, and just basically took my virginity while I was crying and telling him to stop. And that's basically begging for him to just stop. And Tiffany didn't know what else to do either. No one was there to help us, or me. And so after the fact, he basically finishes it, and it didn't take that long at all. But it felt like it was like 5.5 hours. It felt like it was an eternity. Like, I don't even know how long it was, but he was done, and I was crying, and Tiffany was consulting me, and she was, apologizing. She told me that she just never put me in that situation again. But he comes over mad because I was crying. He said that I should be thankful that someone like Donald Trump took my virginity. Rosie basically didn't say took my virginity. He said, I should be glad that someone like Donald Trump popped my cherry and not some pimply little 14-year-old. And I just was like, what if and I said, what if I get pregnant? Not even talking to him. I didn't want to talk to him. I was talking to Tiffany. And he said, well, you'll get an abortion then, bitch. And then just walked away. And I went, I told Tiffany I needed to go home. I never went back again. I guess it's for you to decide, if I don't have any kids myself because I'm afraid to have kids because who knows what kind of damage they can get into. But if you have a 13-year-old daughter and would you be okay with the person who's running our country doing that to your little girl? And I don't know. I just want people to know. I think that I have a faith in our society that will make the right choice. He seemed to be taking great pleasure in like dominance and control, and just the more I screamed, the more I got scared, the more he was enraged and like power, enraged with power, and it was like he was just charged with it. It was scary. My experience with Donald Trump has made it to where I I can't be in a healthy relationship, much less I can't be in a relationship without myself sabotaging it. I don't do well. I've been in a couple of relationships. I mean, they're never of interest to me normally, but one in particular that was he was a wonderful man. And I completely knowing I had like subconsciously, I couldn't even control myself. It was like I had to get him out of my life because, I don't know why. It was like anytime anyone loves me, I don't feel worth it. Or, you know, I've, I mean, I've, I don't even know how to explain it. Like I can't, friends I can have.
Folks, that was pretty tough. Uh, that was really tough. I mean, to what you went through, you know, as a 13-year-old girl. We hear about these stories, we watch these documentaries, we watch, breaking news about all this stuff, 13-year-old, girls and these underage kids being trafficked, being used as sex slaves under the pretenses of, being models and all kinds of stuff like that. And, to think back exactly, like, to listen in her own words, to listen to how graphic and, thinking about what they went through. But the stuff that I heard besides, all the hurtful and the disgusting stuff that has to do with Trump and Epstein. I mean, listen, we know who Epstein is. We know who Trump is. We're not going to keep going back and forth. But we need to ask some questions. How come the media I never hear asking, who's this recruiter, Tiffany? So there's other people besides Maxwell that were involved in this. So we need to get to the bottom and find out who this Tiffany is. Is she in the files? Was she questioned? Was she part of the investigation? Is this part of the list of evidence that they're trying to suppress and hide? Are they trying to make sure that is Pam Bondi trying to hide to make sure that they suppress who Tiffany is? This recruiter that looks like was involved in the 3-4 meetings that Katie Johnson had with Donald Trump, witnessed the rape of Katie Johnson, witnessed the different sexual things that transpired with Katie Johnson. So where is this Tiffany? And is she in the list? And that's one of the main things we need to be talking about and where we're going to be, making our voices heard, because part of this platform is to speak truth to power. And a lot of people don't like it, especially Donald Trump and his cronies. But I don't care what he likes or not like, because what each and every one of you, we're going to speak truth to power. So when you're on those other platforms and when you're under other lives and Substacks, and when you got people out there that are trying to, show the other side or talk about how you're smoking guns and stuff like that, Ask the tough questions. Don't be scared. Turn away, boycott. Don't be complicit to listening to allowing them to spew that garbage, because Donald Trump, and Epstein and all of this is beyond, horrible. Because let's talk about something she said also. She said she was part of orgies. For those of you that might not know, orgies means lots of people. More than one, two, three, four. Orgies means there was lots of people involved. And she said, very importantly, that they were mostly all 13, 14, 15-year-olds, the oldest one being 16. So you had orgies with underage girls. Donald Trump is somebody that she's talking about because he was famous, and she probably know how many people, how many powerful senators or congressmen or businessmen or whoever else were part of those orgies of the rich club that we don't talk about. They don't hear, Alina Habba, remember, prosecute. Sick is beyond sick. But you know what proves to me that this is that this is real, beyond anything else besides I take Katie's word and I take everything that's going on, is the quietness from Donald Trump's camp. He sues everybody. Today he sued Rupert Murdoch, the Wall Street Journal, for $10 billion. How come he's never sued Katie Johnson? How come he's never sued her after, saying what she's saying there on, on live? Because he's scared. Because he knows the truth. Because he's scared of the evidence. Because he knows discovery would destroy him. So let's understand very closely. Trump and Epstein, they weren't strangers. They were friends. They partied together. They did business together. They were seen together countless times. At flamingo parties, at Mar-a-Lago, in videos, in photos that span decades. So this is not, some kind of, when people come up there and talk about saying, I never heard of, Jeffrey Epstein wasn't that, what's it called? It drives me crazy. But it gets even more interesting, more disgusting, but more interesting because, as far as the disgusting, perverted stuff, that hits me right here. Because that hits me as a father, that hits me as a husband, that hits me as a brother, that hits me as a son. My mother, may she rest in peace, my sister, my wife, my kids, my daughters, pedophilia is something that I don't even, there's not even a conversation. There's not even, let's give somebody the benefit of the doubt. So that's why I don't even want to go. That's why that's personal. But there's other things also tied into Epstein. There's things to Epstein, where we're talking about his, connections all over the world. But the one thing that nobody talks on, because everybody talks about Donald Trump and Epstein's relationships and prior to, in the 90s. But right now, I'm going to let you listen to an audio. Some of you might have heard. I'm sure a lot of you haven't. It's from author Michael Wolff. He has over 100 tapes about Epstein in his own voice, talking about his close relationship with Donald Trump. But the interesting part, not just with Donald Trump when they were younger, but while Donald Trump was president of the United States in their first term. That's right, folks, not before, but during. So I want to ask you very importantly before I play this tape for you to listen, because right now I want to take 30 seconds and I want to make sure everybody smashes those hearts. Make your phone calls. Get anybody that you want to right now to listen to truth. Because for those of you that didn't hear the Michael Wolff tapes, or might have not heard all of them, or might have not heard this one because there's over 101, this is a very important one. and I don't want to justify what's more important, the pedophilia, the cover-ups, the sex, the disgustingness, but this shows you this. What you're going to hear right now is going to show you the direct link and the relationship Trump had with Epstein going back while Trump was in office. So you're talking about 16, 17. Now this is where the cover-ups are starting to be where it's happening. Because now Trump's protecting a lot more than just himself. So let's listen to this for a second. I want you to listen to Epstein in his own words, folks. Where we go. Okay. So let me see. I could invite Zev. I don't know if Zev is around. I'll send Zev an invite, but let's see if he's around. I know a lot of you guys, but Zev's been doing a lot of reporting on. But I want you to listen right now. This is Epstein in his own words. Hold on a second. Put it together. Okay. All right, here we go.
I think we have a snippet from one of the conversations that I recorded with Epstein, and I think this was in a restaurant in 2017. His people fight each other, right? And then have outsiders. He sort of poisons the well outside. He will tell 10 people Bannon's a scumbag, and Priest not doing a good job, and Kelly has a big mouth. What do you think? Jamie Dimon says you're a problem, and I shouldn't keep you. And I spoke to Paul Icahn, and Paul thinks I'm even new spokesperson. So Kelly, even though I hired Kelly Ann's husband, Kelly is just too much of a wild board. And then he tells Bannon, I really want to keep you, but Kelly Ann hates you. I have not more than dozens. I probably have 100 hours of Epstein talking about the inner workings of the Trump White House and about his long-standing, deep relationship with Donald Trump. I think we have a snippet from...
Did you hear that, folks? Did you hear that? What's it called? If you didn't, I'll play it again because this is extremely important. This is a part of it. Because what are we talking about? We're now talking about how Epstein just gave you a whole rundown of Trump's first administration between Kellyanne Conway, how he speaks to Steve Bannon, what he tells about Kellyanne, what he tells this one, so that, and how deep his relationship was. Just think about not only all the disgusting stuff. Think about all the people that were involved in these orgies that you heard from Katie Johnson's mouth herself. Think about how many people were involved. Think about how Trump talks about Jewish people, how Trump calls Spanish people, how he talks about black people. And this is not the first person that talks about this. We've spoken about this plenty of times about Trump's racism and the way he talks. And it's also important to think about the immigration he was talking about. Katie Johnson probably didn't even realize during the crazy fantasy sex about his maid that because his maid probably was either Mexican or Spanish, that he was threatening that if she didn't perform proper sexual act on him, that he would call immigration and get her thrown out. I mean, this is going back to the 90s. But here's another what a very important part. A very important part, because there's a lot of parts of that interview that I took notes that you guys need to understand, is what did she say? She said that afterwards that she had to go report back to Epstein the information on the clients. So here again, Epstein had young girls under the age of 16 being recruited by Maxwell and this recruiter, Tiffany, that we don't know if she's in the files, in the list or not, to have orgies with these powerful rich men. We're not going to go into the disgusting stuff Donald Trump did because it's just so disgusting that his daughter, the way he compares everybody to Ivanka, I mean, his racism stuff. But the important part that we're getting here is that this pedophilia ring was also connected to Epstein collecting info on the clients. So again, I'm going to ask you this question: who is Trump protecting? Because it's not just about him. Remember Ghislaine Maxwell and her black book? What about the flight logs? There's a lot of missing Epstein files that are conveniently right now buried. Remember Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, how she came out? Her statement, this is his attorney's statement. People will go to jail. Justice will be served for thousands of children, quote unquote. Where's the justice for 1,000 children? Really? Where are the files then about all of these people that are going to seek justice? And why did you release it on July 4th during a national holiday, during one of the worst news cycles? And why was Bibi Netanyahu in Washington, D.C. that same week? Then all of a sudden, nominating you for a Nobel Peace Prize. You know, for those of you that watch Zev on my show, Zev told us about how Epstein, that he had Israeli, basically ex-Israeli Mossad, tell him that Epstein was blackmailing American elites as an Israeli intelligence asset. That theory is not new, and still we have no answers. But think about it. Just think about what we just heard, from Katie herself in her own voice, talking about how these underage girls, 13 to 16-year-olds, after having orgies with all of these powerful men, would then report back to Epstein with information. This is exactly what I've been talking about. And then I'm going to tell you something very important. I never spoke about this, but we need to say this. I don't have fact, but my opinion is Epstein was killed. He didn't commit suicide. Because just from my personal experience, I was not in the same exact cell in MDC that Epstein was. But I was in prison with people that were in those cells, and they were actually, one of the guys was cleaning up after Epstein, murder, suicide, whatever they called it at the time. But I was also in that type of protective, lockdown. It's called the SHU. The SHU is segregated, housing authority, protection. So this is where they house the worst of the worst, and also they use that for some of the most not celebrities or people that are could be in danger, and they put them in the SHU also. It's 23-hour lockdown. I want you to understand that every 15 minutes they come in there, you don't get a chance to sleep. The light is always on. I've been there, personal experience. Every 15 minutes they come in there with the light. They wake you up to make sure you're alive, that you're moving and kicking. The other thing that is, you saw all of those bed sheets and all of those whatever towels, whatever they called it, those orange stuff in his room. That's impossible. You are not allowed to have that. This is not a place where you can buy whatever you want or do whatever you are. You're not in prison. You're in segregated. And so at that point, you get maybe one bed sheet. You get maybe one pillow. I mean, I didn't even have. I had one thin bed sheet. So all of that stuff, and it's almost impossible to hang yourself, to commit suicide when you're in one of those units. This is not, they're making you seem like this is a unit like regular jail or regular prison. No, there it's a lot different because you're not under 24-hour watch or 24-hour scrutiny. When you're in one of these facilities where Jeffrey Epstein was, where I was, I could tell you that it's almost impossible. I mean, never say never on anything in this world, but to be able to commit suicide. So I truly believe Epstein was killed. He was killed, and he was killed to be silenced. And I feel that the timing of his arrest and everything was part of that. Because if you recall, folks, he was arrested during Trump's DOJ, not under Obama, none under the Clintons, none under what's it called, Biden. It was under Trump's DOJ, and it was by Bill Barr. And I know very well how Bill Barr works, folks, because Bill Barr is the same person that tried to shut me up. Bill Barr doesn't, arrest people because we as normal people think that you get arrested because, and then they're going to offer you a deal so you could possibly, get less time and you could give them more information so they could get to the truth. We're not when it came to Bill Barr. Bill Barr shut down the truth. They never wanted to hear from me, and whenever I wanted to talk, whenever I wanted to speak up and tell the truth of what's going on with Donald Trump, where he sent me to Ukraine, I had nobody to talk to. There was nobody to listen to. That's why I went to the media. That's why I did my interview with Rachel Maddow. That's why I went to speak in front of Congress. So when a lot of the pundits out there, a lot of these people sit there and say, you know what? They what's it called? Ghislaine Maxwell has nothing to say because if she had something to say, she would have cut a deal. She would have spoke during the trial. She would have what's it called, their deal. A lot of these people have no idea what the hell they're talking about. It's bullshit. Because I truly believe, just watching the tea leaves, how Maxwell, her family are writing letters and she's trying to talk right now, is they didn't offer her a deal. And I'm not protecting her. She's garbage. She's just as involved, and she should be just as punishable, just as what's it called, Epstein. So it's not about, but to get to the bottom, to understand the truth, what's it called? I'm sure she would cut a deal and take a couple of years, even 2, 3, 5 years off her sentence to be able to have a chance to live any time out there in the real world, to be able to spill the beans. But they also arrested Maxwell and prosecuted her to shut her up, not to get to the truth. If you take a look at the way the trials were done, the way the indictments were written, the way the subpoenas were written, it was to put blinders on to get a certain and not to get any other information. Everything else sealed, protected, and the truth is hidden, and she's away. But she's trying to talk. But who's trying to shut them up? The Trump DOJ again. Just like they did to me, just like they did to others. It's not. That's what they don't want to hear the truth. They want to, shut it up. It's a disgusting subject, but it's a powerful one because you know what? If we don't talk about it, if we don't keep the power on, nothing's gonna happen. But I also want to talk to you about some of the other things that I think are extremely important that are happening right now that we need to keep our, eye on the ball. I wrote a Substack letter for you guys to make sure keep your eye on the ball because a lot is happening. While this monster stays in power, while he's given, free reign by Putin to wage war in Ukraine. Every day, folks, Kharkiv, Dnipro, Lvov, Ukraine cities are being hit harder than ever before. As we speak right now, Ukraine's being hit right now all over the place with drones, and harder and harder and harder. Trump pulled their support. He stole their weapons. He's making backroom promises with Putin, as I've been writing to you and telling you about it. Now you're seeing it all play out. And for the next 50 days, it's going to be costing lives every single day to people out there. So I want to talk to you. I know this is a little bit off subject because I don't want to spend too much more time on Epstein and Trump because it really hurts me. I want to talk about some of the most important stuff that right now, because when it comes to Epstein and Trump, we need to keep pushing. We need to keep the pedal to the metal. We need to keep congressmen, senators pushing for us to have results. Don't let them get away by trying to cover this and put this on sweep under the rug, because mega is breaking over this, and this is our time to act. And not and this is also we need to be those loud voices for those people. But also, we also need to understand what he's doing right now. The other three most important things that I want you to talk about today, that one is Ukraine, the other one is immigration reform, and the most important one that I talk about is called election reform. And when it comes to Ukraine, Right now, what we're doing is I just want to give you guys a quick shout out. We're putting together Alex. For those of you that don't know, that don't follow Voice from Ukraine, Alex is putting together a trip next week. He's doing a humanitarian aid. He's going to deliver it to Ukraine, and he's going to be risking his life because he wants to bring the truth for the people, for humanity. And for those of you that have donated already, I want to thank you so much. For those of you that have not donated yet, I'm going to put a link up here into the thing. Please help any way you can, because right now every donation can save a life when it comes to Ukraine. 1 second, let me just get you. Uh, Oops, sorry. Sorry, guys. Okay, here we go. I think I got it right there. What am I? Oh, here we go. All right. All right. All right, so that's the GoFundMe, guys. I posted it up there for those of you that can repost it, share it, please, donate whatever you can, because right now Ukraine is really, really getting hit hard, and we need to help any way we possibly can. And like I said, every dollar could save a life. So please repost it for those of you that have and for those of you that have donated already. Thank you. God bless you. For those of you that haven't and can, please pass that around and donate what you can. But now I want to talk to you a little bit about immigration, because this might be one of the most terrifying things that is happening right now, folks. We all know about Trump's whole big, beautiful bill that he passed through Congress. In that bill, besides taking away Medicaid for millions and millions of people and hurting us by giving the tax breaks to the rich and not the poor, he gave one most important thing that he did. He gave ICE more money, more power than any other agency. That's right. And we've been writing about it. I've been telling you about it. And now it's being weaponized. It's becoming Trump's personal FSB. When I say FSB, it's the Putin. It's Putin's, basically used to be the KGB. Now it's called the FSB. And that's what Trump has become, ICE. ICE should basically become his Gestapo of a force to be able to go after you Americans, U.S. citizens, and anybody he needs them to do. Just days ago, a U.S. citizen, folks, was dragged off the streets while his wife screaming. He's an American. He's a citizen. Just like I told you guys, if you remember when I was telling you the story about some of my friends here down in Florida, that they're scared for their kids to go out to a local taco truck, or go into certain areas where there might be populated by immigrants, because the raids, because they're going to churches, they're going to schools, they're going to football games, and people are getting swept up, not just the criminals that they say to, but they're picking up irregular people without due process and throwing them into concentration camp like facility like Alcatraz we have here. I want you to listen. This is going to be hard to listen to again, but today is one of those days where I'm sorry I'm putting a lot of, but you need to listen, because we need to be able to understand how serious it happened. This is that's been circulating for the past day, but a lot of you might not have heard because you don't go to X. It's a video. It's a video about a man being chased by ICE while his wife is screaming and begging them to stop, and to say, telling him that he's an American citizen and to leave him alone. So listen to this. I need you to listen to this.
Leave him alone! Get the fuck away! You're stupid as fuck! Leave him alone! He's a U.S. citizen! What are you doing? Stop! Don't leave me! Stop! Just do it! Stop! What the fuck are you saying? He's a U.S. citizen! Is that to turn you?
Stay right there. Just need to stand back. This is out there scene right now.
You fucking Latino, look at your face! That's what you're doing! He's a fucking US citizen! You fucking trying to make me. Get the fuck out of my face!
You get back.
Come on! You don't even know what to say!
This
Bitch!
says no. Eating around.
Not a bitch! How am I
Get back.
you?
Get back.
You don't even have a fucking real badge! Okay, what's your badge number?
Google me.
You're nothing, you stupid bitch!
Somebody mind me doing it.
That's my husband!
I need.
Drop!
He's under right. Hey, move back or you can get me. What I hold you?
Fuck you, bitch!
Then
He's my husband! You understand?
what? That's another me. Come here.
Stop doing the
You can't be arrested.
Don't touch me! Where is he going?
Get out of
Where is he going?
here. You got to work. You
That's my husband!
Get out of here.
He's doing that fucking shit! Thank you! These are U.S. citizens with brothers in the Marine Corps! They're doing member! And this is what they're doing! Stand up behind, God bless you, man! Maybe I got you!
Yeah.
Fuck you, bitches! Fuck you all! These are all traitors! These are all fucking traitors! Leave him alone!
That was hard to listen to and watch. I mean, this is a poor wife screaming at her husband as being basically because of the color of his skin. He was just ripped off the streets and beaten up, thrown into a car. And when she even asked them to identify themselves, these garbage, of people, because I don't consider them authority, because he told her to Google him, no badge, no nothing, to Google him. That's the response that he gave her. When I hear that, I mean, I can't even tell you. Oh, my blood! I just can't handle watching. This is happening here in our country, and this is no longer some kind of game. This is no longer just it's happening here. We could keep our mind. This is happening every single day. Every single day, we have people that are being picked off the streets. We're not taking an American citizen, thrown in detention centers, no lawyers, no charges, no due process. Now also we have places like Alligator Alcatraz where people are caged, abused, disappeared. And you know what? The ICE director, Tom Homan, I'm not even going to repeat. I want you to listen to his own words. This is Donald Trump's dictator of ICE. I want you how he talks about when he says, I'm going to quote one part. He says, "We don't need probable cause. If you look like you don't belong, we will take you." Really? In America? In America, you don't need probable cause. If you don't like the way I look, you could just take me. And the media, no, the media, I don't even know what the hell the media is talking about. I don't know. The media has pundits on there talking about a letter. We don't know that he's already a sexual predator, or that he hung out with Epstein. No, we're gonna spend days and days talking about bullshit while, we got people in Ukraine that are dying every day because Donald Trump just gave up and gave him full reign. We have Donald Trump covering up for pedophiles, for child molesters. We have, for God knows what else he's covering up for. We have people, American citizens, getting ripped off the streets, folks, ripped off the streets. This is America. I mean, yeah, in Russia it happens. Yeah, Russia that happens all the time. Russia, you could be walking down the street, and if you're disagree with Vladimir Putin, you will get dragged off the street. But I want to let you listen to what Tom Homan said, because I promise you today we're going to talk. We're going to hear it from their own words, from these garbage of human beings, of how what they feel and what they. This is Tom Homan on what's it called, on Fox, talking about arresting and some of these American citizens. Listen to this.
This Biden-appointed federal judge out in Los Angeles apparently expected today to issue a temporary restraining order halting your lawful operations. She says, I think it's important for the court not to burden otherwise lawful law enforcement activities. Your reaction there?
Look, the people are saying ICE officers and Border Patrol, they don't need probable cause to walk up to somebody, briefly detain them, and question. They just need this totality of the circumstances, right? They just got through the observation, get articulable facts based on the location, the occupation, their physical appearance, their actions. Like a uniformed border station walks up to them at for instance, a Home Depot. And they got all these articulable facts, plus the person walks away or runs away. Agents are trained. What they need to detain somebody temporarily and question them is not probable cause, it's reasonable suspicion. We're trained on that. Every agent, every 6 months get Fourth Amendment training over and over again. These officers are really good at what they do. And if the judge would make a decision that's against what these officers are trained, what the law is based upon, then they're going to shut down operation. I think that's
All right, so let me explain what he just said. He said that they don't need no probable cause; they need reasonable suspicion. So basically, what he's saying that what they need for ICE agents to go detain somebody off the streets of America, they don't need a probable cause of somebody doing something illegal. They need to be their physical appearance. Think about it, their physical appearance, what they look like, the location that they're in. And he mentioned Home Depot. So now if you're in Home Depot and you look like you are Mexican or Spanish or a dark skin and you're in Home Depot, that means that that's enough reasonable suspicion to take you in. Are you sick bastards? That's what you are, sick bastards. That was his own voice, hearing it. I mean, I can't even explain to you. This is. I mean, it's crazy. This is Trump's dictator, Tom Homan, saying himself, "We don't need probable cause. If you look like you don't belong, we're gonna take you in. It's about your appearance. It's not immigration reform. This is called authoritarian policy. That's called ethnic cleansing." Let me repeat myself. Authoritarian policy, ethnic cleansing. And it's only getting worse day by day. But the biggest things that they don't want you to focus on, that I beg of you folks, that I write everyday letters, and I talk to you about this every single day. It's called election reform. Election reform, because this is where Stephen Miller, this is where Russell Vaught, this is where Pam Bondi, this is where all of them are quietly rewriting the rules. This is where Project 2025 comes into effect. I've been telling you this. I've been writing about it. They're working state by state in the open. They're trying to rig redistricting maps, suppress votes, use ICE to intimidate voters and take over Congress in 2026, especially with the redistricting that's happening right now in Texas, Georgia, and Florida. because all they're looking for is one party, one rule. And this is not a conspiracy we're talking about here. This is a real coup. A real coup that's happening right in front of each and every one of our eyes every single day. But I need you to understand, I need really, I know I talk to you about it every day, but I want you to understand I'm doing this because this is where I'm going to take a stand, and this is where we make our stand. This Epstein stuff, this pedophilia stuff, this trying to, throw American citizens into the concentration camps, this election reform to try to make sure that we never, be able to have a fair election so this monster could stay in power forever. This is where make my stand, and this is where I hope each and every one of you make your stand with me. I ask of you, I beg of you, this is where we must raise our voices, make our voices loud for every single victim who never got justice, for every child who was ever abused, for every woman who were ever silenced, for the immigrants being dragged off the streets, for the American citizens that are scared to walk into their own cities and states, for the Ukrainian lives that are under fire fighting for for truth and fight democracy all over the world, and for the future of our democracy itself. Because this is it, folks. And if you feel the same way I feel, if you feel that anger, that heartbreak, that fire, then I'm asking you and I'm begging you, share this message. Share this message to every single person you know. Let them listen. Let them watch it. Replay it. Repost it. Reshare it. Restack it. Make a comment on it. Not for 1 hour or for one day, but for the next every day for the next week until they get sick of it, until every media, every pundit, and everybody will be talking about it. Because these are the most important things that are happening right now that are changing the way we will ever live forever. The cover-ups, the backdoor dealings, the taking away of our constitutional rights, trying to destroy everything America stood for. So I beg of you, for every single child, every single woman, for every single American citizen, and every single person around the world that's being hurt by what's happening with this ideology that's being pushed by Donald Trump, Vladimir Putin, and others, please make sure the one thing you do is subscribe. So this way you can have your alerts on so you know what's happening. And I want to take this moment and thank every single one of you that contribute to, Venmo at Lev-Parnas. For those of you that become paid subscribers. For those of you that visit Levremembers.com and, support by purchasing memorabilia or T-shirts or stuff. Because I want you to understand, I don't have no billionaires. I don't have no corporations. I have you. You are the people that he is scared of. And together we are the movement. Together we're more. We are a family, guys. Together we are the resistance. And we're just getting started. So please, for those of you that have not yet subscribed, for those of you who have not yet become paid subscribers, for those of you who have not joined, please, today, now more than ever is the time. Join our family here, join our movement, join our resistance, and let your voices be heard loud and clear, because Donald Trump, believe me, he knows, he hears, he sees about us. And there's going to come a time where we're going to have to take a stand to fight him, just like he went after ABC, just like he went after CBS, just like he goes against independent journalists all over there. There's going to time where he's going to come and try to shut us up. Because what my sources are telling me, the one thing he's fuming more than anything right now, and I know him really well, is all the leakers that are coming out right now. All our sources, they're telling us everything that's happening. They're blowing up his game. He wants to shut it down. He wants to shut it down more than ever. So I'm asking you, now is the time more than ever not to let it up. These sick bastards need to pay. So please, spread this message far and wide. We need to make sure that this family, this movement, this resistance grows as big as possible. And remember, I hate to be, a broken record, but your contributions, your support, your paid subscription, your donations to the GoFundMe's that we set up for the people of Ukraine, they mean everything to us, to the people that receive them, because that's what allows me to keep giving every single information with no paywalls, except for just some special stuff for you paid subscribers, like, messaging, like Q&A, like Story Time with Lev. But everything else, it's about saving our democracy, getting this message out. So I know today's been a long one and today's been a serious one, but I want to make sure today's a very important one. So please make sure you spread this all over. So I want to thank you. I know it's Sunday and the week is going to start tomorrow. There's a lot that's going to be happening. My sources tell me that there's a lot being planned, distractions all over the place, from threats of firing the Fed chairman, Jerome Powell, to all the crazy stuff that he's planning on doing to be able to distract you. But the one thing you hear with us at this family, we keep our eye on the ball. And I promise you that I will give you the information. I'm here with you. I won't I'm not going anywhere. As long as I have each and every one of you behind me with your support, we're going to save our democracy and we're going to rid ourselves of these pedophile, these elite, disgusting monsters that are out there trying to not only hurt our kids and and do this type of stuff, but also the people that are covering up for them. And you know who you are. You know who you are, Donald Trump. And we're not going to allow you to get away with it. So have a good night. God bless each and every single one of you. And give your kids a special hug today, more than ever. And I'll be back with you tomorrow. We have a lot going on and a lot to break down. Have a great night. I'll see you tomorrow morning. Take care. God bless you and God bless America.